Now we have some more information, but it's absolutely, and I will stay in the same topic as before because this is huge information, as I told you before. That we are fooled into a world of electricity ruled by the evil one, the spirit of the evil one. We will come back to that more. And we talked about the moon, and we talked about the sun, of course. And the sun in Hebrew is Shemesh, 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 Shemesh. And the moon is Lebanah. And they are following the moon, I told you before. You can see the moon god. Allah, for an example, is a moon god. And so on and so forth. And Joshua took their crescent moons, stars and crescent moons from their gimels, from their camels. You can read about that. They worship the female force. Yes, same story. The nefesh, the self, the electricity we can now add to that. We have a deeper understanding now that if you are ruled by your nefesh, yourself, your ego, in your inner, that's your inner woman, you will act in your outer flesh, the bazaar. That's how it works. The opposite, as we have talked about, is the inner man. The inner man is your heart. It's green. That's why I have this green jacket on today. And remember the protection from the electromagnetic strike that will hit the earth hard now. I showed you this little fellow. And this video is much about all the stuff that I didn't have time to mention. So it's a complementary to the emergency call for the Bride of Christ. But as you can see, this little fellow has a green color. And he has the yellow panzer. Coincident? No, this is not a coincidental channel, I have told you many times. This means that if you wants to be, of course everybody wants that, but if you have the understanding, the chokhmah, the wisdom, many will get lost because the lack of that, lack of wisdom. But if you have the wisdom, you can see that the protection is green color. Green is the color, it's the light wavelength of the spirit's light, the heart, that's green. The heart is green. So you have to be ruled by your heart. All your body parts, as you can see, has to be ruled from your heart. Then you will have the shield of righteousness that will protect you. A sun. You will have a sun. A yellow solar plexus, warm sun that will be lit in your breast, I promise you. I have experienced that myself. And this will become very deep, my friends, now, so hold on. All right. And of course, in your heart, the law of God must be written. And that is the only possibility is that your blue side Your spiritual side will follow Jesus and beg him for forgiveness of its sins, of your sins. Humbleness, my friends. Humbleness, my friends. On the other hand, if you are ruled by the nefesh, your red side, you will not be humble. You think you are a god yourself. You have eaten of the tree of evil, good and evil. And now you have become a battery, as we talked about. If you are ruled from the red side is negative energy. The blue side is positive energy. The negative energy, I have not words for it yet, but I think that energy comes from the sun, from the Lebanon, the moon. The moon probably will have something to do with the recharging of the battery. You know, it shifts all the way and it gets full and so on. And by the way, it's also get red. Read Joel. Before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, the sun will turn into blood. So it absolutely has a connection with that. And also they pray to the Queen of Heaven and all of that. Diana, make bread to Diana. And the fish god Dagon down in the Vatican prays to Mary. Then you can know that they are batteries. And they are red indeed, clothed in scarlet and red. They are negative. You can see that a person is negative, very negative person. He's also or she's also an energy thief. Energy thieves. Can you understand what I'm saying? If you're ruled from your inner sun, from the sun, getting protons, you will emit light. You are a positive person, a giver, a helper. But the red side is an energy thieves. It wants energy, more and more and more and more energy. I have talked about this in other words before, but the only energy that a negative person can get is from others. That's why they are so eager to be worshipped, because they must have that energy. We, on the other hand, are God's people. We don't need energy from other people. We give them energy. And in difference to the battery, we will have an endless supply from God himself, shooting his protons, his light, energy. But the battery, it will burn and burn and burn, and soon, or sooner or later, it will have consumed all its electrons. That's why the aging process is to man, because they are burning up themselves with electricity, negative charge energy. That's the reason why they age. Can you see? low battery you can see in older people's. I'm not making fun of them. Please, I'm not. Because from all of my heart I wish that they could be charged from the sun too. And they can. But it's a lot of work, my friend. It's a lot of work. And a lot of humbleness to understand, because God will not, or I could say it like, express it like this: it is impossible for a haughty and pride and not humble person to become light. It's not impossible. Because they are batteries. Vitriol, battery water, we can say. The chemical we have the electrolyte, battery water, we can say, the electrolyte. It, an acid state, and you see, what is the most popular drink in especially Sweden? What is it that they drink many cups of per day? It's the most commonly used drug. What is that? What is the most commonly used drug, especially in Sweden, but in the whole world? It's coffee. Why do you think it's so popular? Because it's a perfect vitriol for the battery. Caffeine. And all these energy drinks that we talked about, that the youngsters are bathing in, literally spoken. Willing to pay a lot for, because they are addicted. Because it has become exactly as coffee, a drug for them. Yeah, we have talked about that. The evil one wants you to get addicted so that you worship him. They pay almost 30 crowns for half a liter of that poison. That's Yankee stuff. It's impossible if you don't have become addicted to pay so much for an evil thing. I pray for them, please. I do. I pray for them. All right. Now, I would like to read for you. So we will try to see this more and more in God's Word. And we will start to read Ephesians 2. And you have he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air. 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 To the course of this word. The prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. Stop there. It's working in the children of disobedience. They are batteries. Who do you think this is? The prince of the air. Who do you think it is? It's Zeus. Of course. And who is he? The church of Pergamo tells us the altar there is the altar of Zeus. Of Zeus. He's the god of lightning. His most famous attribute is the lightning bolt or arrow. One plus one is 2. We are getting closer, my friends. The circle is being closed of understanding. So, the spirit of him worketh in the children of obedience. All right, they are ruled by electricity then. They have the lightning bolt between their brain halves because they are fighting. They are shooting arrows of hate, negative energy, war, you name it. Everything that opposes itself to the Holy Great One, God Himself. It opposes the Lord. Everything of that they are doing. Fulfilling, as Paulus says further down here, fulfilling the desire of the flesh and of the mind. They are ruled from their red side. They are nefesh controlled, the inner woman. They are acid in their body. They are vitriol. They are absolutely, for sure, using all these ingredients to make the battery water to work perfectly. Meat, blood, you name it. Sugar, all this candy stuff. Red and bloody meat, like I said. Fish, animal death. And of course all the drugs, alcohol, nicotine, and by the way, isn't it a drug called acid? How obvious can it be? But you see, Satan and the evil ones love to play with you and play with your mind. That's why all these Freemason secret societies have their signs for everything. I tried to explain that for you a couple of episodes ago. All right. But as you know, as a gift from God, not by works. It's a gift from God. He sent His spirit and completed our color system and gave us the sun inside, the UN. You are now a receiver of the energy and can produce. You can, let us say it this way. The priest had the breastplate, a symbol of the light, because that was a symbol of the light. Before the Spirit was given unto us, right? So this has to be a model for what's to come. Now we have the Spirit inside and can produce. I don't have it with me now, the colors sheet here, but I show you last all the colors. Yeah. Now all the colors can emit out from you. You can reflect all the colors. That's why you have to have the yellow stone. And I can say, not going too deep into that now because I don't have the right word for it yet, but the stone that they rejected a stone. They rejected the stone, so the light can emit all the 12 rays of light, from red to Sagol, purple. They rejected that and wanted to be batteries instead. We are talking about the Pharisees. The Pharisees are red controlled Edomites. Esau, red. Because the true color of Yehudah is blue. I said red before because they follow the red. They should. And the followers of Christ, they are blue color, they are spiritual. They follow Christ. Can you see that? Now I will go into a little bit to what happened on the Mount of Transfiguration. We can read about that in Matthew 17. Matthew 17. And it's a lot of things to say about that, but I will touch on it briefly here. But as you all know, Jesus starts to shine like the sun, and he became all white in his clothing, shining clothing. That's him showing you that now, when I am complete, I can emit light. And one other thing that is very important to understand. The first meaning in that chapter starts with after 6 days. Is it there just because of a coincidence? We're not a coincidental channel. After 6 days, this will happen, my friends. It's after 6,000 years God tries to speak to you. And we are there now, my friends. The 6,000 year, we went into that, or are very, very close. We talk about that another time. But what that means is that we are going to be like Jesus, shining like the sun. We read the last episode about my people which shine like the sun and come into the kingdom. And Moses' face that shone. But it's more, it's deeper than that, because you see, on the Mount of Transfiguration, for the first, it is on Mount Hermon. Why is it on Mount Hermon? Does it mean something? Or is it just a high mount? No, it's on Mount Hermon because on that mountain the fallen angels, you can read about it in the book of Enoch, swore an oath that they would bind them together by an oath that they should take the humans, females, to their wives, or us their wives. Can you see that? So that's why it has to do with that. That's why it's on Mount Hermon. It's of course deeper than that, but we stay there for now. But Jesus showed on that mountain that because you see, suddenly appeared Moses and Elijah, it says, on each side of him. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is a bit deep again. Moses is a symbol of the spiritual man. Moses is the blue man. He's the symbol of the right side. He has the law ruled from his heart. Blue, green, yellow, blue, green, yellow, blue, green. On the other side, Elijah appeared. Elijah the Tishbite, it says. It could mean, Tishbite could mean the settler. My take on that, my understanding this far in my spiritual journey, is that Jesus shows us clearly that you have to be like Moses and follow my commandments and my statutes. Ruled from your hearts. That's the ruler. And the red side is a settler, a Tishbite. The red side is female. This is my bride. This is my people. This is the Gentiles. Why is it the Gentiles? Because the Gentiles humble themselves in opposite to what the Jews did, the Pharisees and so on. They did not humble themselves. They want to rule themselves. And that construction, my friend, of the negative part, died at Calvary. Jesus showed us clearly that that didn't work. Being a battery didn't work. It must go through death. The energy will not be eternal if you're a battery. You must die. So that's what the two thieves show us, and Jesus in the midst of them. The old construction with a stubborn female Eve spirit, or we could say a spirit of the prince of the air. This evil spirit will not last. It must die. And it must go through a hellish tribulation, so to say. Remember what Jesus had to go through with the scourging and all that, crucifixion. That has to be put on a tree, because everything that is put on a tree, the Lord says, is a curse. So, the working Trinity, we could say, between the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, is that the yellow has to be in the midst of the blue and the red. And the red is no longer the boss, so to say. It's the servant. Am I my brother's keeper? Cain uttered. Yes, you should have been. Then you have lit like the sun, like Jesus showed on Mount Hermon. Can you understand what I'm talking about? Can you understand this? If you want to shine with the light of the sun, you must have all the colors, because you see, all the colors together is light. Only 2 or 3 of them, or I should say, not all of them, is not complete light, because all of them is white light. All of the 12 colors is white light. That's why Jesus talks about clothed in white linen, because that's a symbol of shining like the white light, the sun. Your whole menorah, because the menorah shows us the colors. Yes, it shows us the 7 colors, but it's colors between each color. They mix together. So for to say, if you mix red and blue, you get sagol. You have peace now. That's why Jesus also is sagol, the highest priestly color. But you must have the sun inside, the energy of the sun. Not the moon, not the grayscale, we have talked about that. Not electricity, but the sun, the protons, the positive energy, doing anava, counseling, fear of the Lord, wisdom, binah, chokhmah, etzah, etsem, counseling, the gifts of the Spirit, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Right? And also Elijah being the true red color on the left side, red side, doing the will of God. But because you see, Elijah in Hebrew is Eliyahu, Eliyahu. And that means my God is Yahweh. My God is Yahweh. So he's a humble servant. The flesh will now obey the law of the inner man, the heart, the law of God. That's what Elijah did, because he believed, he had faith upon the great God that we have, Yahweh, Jesus Christ, Yud Hey Vav Hey. Behold the hand, behold the nail. The God that were supposed to be crucified. All right, so much information for you today, but I will tell you one more thing before I stop. Or maybe a couple, if we have time. The breastplates. You can read about that in different writings. Don't be afraid of Talmudic writings, because they have description. They don't understand it, but you can read about things and you can make your own conclusion that, that's what it means. Not what they are saying, but they said that the high priest's breastplates, it shone like the sun, if the children of Israel were forgiven, and so on. But in the episode of Achan, the sin, you remember Achan in the book of Joshua, he took things when they went to war that wasn't allowed. Then the stone become dull and grow dim. It didn't shine. That's a symbol, my friends, of discernment of spirits. Do you have the discernment here inside? Do you have all the colors? You can feel if someone talking truth or not. You can discern that by the glowing in your breastplate. You can feel it. Man Ish, woman Isha. Together they have a Yud from man and a Hey from the woman. That means Yah, that means God. If they are connected through love. I say that again. If they are married, if there is the connection between them are love. And we can also say Jesus, of course, and we can also say the Spirit of God. If that is true, they will become one, echad. They will mix their colors, red and blue, and become sagol. And they can now create life and have babies, children. Beautiful. They are now an image of God. But if they don't have love, they have both an sheen here. They have both the letter sheen. And sheen is lightning, destruction. So if they don't have love between them here, they will worship the God and the spirit, the prince and the spirit of the air. Having that said, I will finish with this. Now, my friends, it's very important and serious. This matter is very serious. In the tabernacle, they were not supposed to offer on the altar with strange fire. Remember Aaron's two sons. Nadab and Abihu, I think they something like that. The name was. They were killed because they offered strange fire. Could it be that they offered the fire from the Prince of the Air? Could it be that they offered